is the full spectrum.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 22 of RollPlay for Verona. I am joined by, well, most of my cast. At the last minute, I looked up and I'm like, well, I guess Mark died again.
I am here, I'm dead.
Bye, but quiet ghost, get out.
Okay.
Get the power of Christ compels you.
Also,
okay, well, he's brought back
What
to
is
life.
this? What is
It's
this?
a miracle.
Get rid of it. Thank
There
you.
you go.
Nice.
There you go.
Oh.
Well,
What is this?
welcome back,
Get rid
everybody.
of it.
Yeah, I don't want to be here
JP.
either.
There you go. Nice.
Good, good. As always, I'm joined by my 4 favorite ghosts. How's everybody doing?
Fabulous.
Bronze, you finished a thing recently. I wanted to start with you today because Tales from the Loop. You did a game. You started a game, you played a game, and then you ended a game, and that is a rare and beautiful experience. So I want to congratulate you. How was that? How do you feel about that? How many episodes was it, and what was your experience
10.
like? Tell me about this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like a
It's
season
weird,
of an HBO
'cause
show.
I mostly do like one shots and miniseries. That's the format I prefer. So yeah. Yeah. No, it's a good feeling. It's a cool feeling to feel like it's finished. But this is like probably my 4th miniseries I wrapped last year.
Yeah, right.
So
So
yeah.
what do you like about that format of like doing like 10, what is it, like 10 to 12 episodes, you figure?
Yeah, I usually do. Even between like I would say like 5 to 10, or 5 to 12.
Mhm.
I think I like it because the pacing is better. Coming at it from that point of view. I feel like the players are more likely to do something drastic because they know that they only have a limited amount of time left, as opposed to I really don't want my character to die.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. So it's like the stolen car thing where you're like, well, the character's gonna go away in 3 more episodes, so fuck it, I'll drive it off a cliff.
Yeah. People, I feel like players get more just like out there and crazy with it because it's shorter, so you just you don't have to be as scared of like ruining the campaign, I guess. So, because you have some games where if you do something drastic, sometimes it can like mess it up. But I feel like
sure.
with the miniseries, it only makes it more interesting, and even more so with one shots. Like people will do things that are completely just like off the wall crazy because they don't have anything to lose. That even happened with Pocket when I GM'd the Vampire the Masquerade one shot here on this channel. She did something that was totally like a high stakes gamble towards the end of the one shot, and it was kind of awesome.
Here's the thing about Pocket that you might not know. She's just like that all the time. So you could be like, we're playing in this game. It's a Star Wars game, and it's gonna last like as many episodes as we want to play. And we're like, 10 episodes in, she's like, I don't know, I bite the guy's face off. And we're like 10 more episodes in, she's like, I don't know, we blow up our own spaceship. And I'm just like, all right, Pocket, just keep it coming.
Yeah. That shit's always wild entertaining.
Yeah, you just don't have to deal with it if you only do it in a one shot or a short section.
It's awesome that she does that all the time because I always love that stuff because it makes things interesting. It keeps things like, because you have like a concept of what you think your players might do. And then when you get a wrench like that thrown in, that's when I, as a GM, get excited. Because that's like the one downside of being a GM versus being a player is you as the GM within a certain parameter, unless you're a crappy railroady GM, but you kind of have a rough idea, not an exact idea, but a rough idea of what's going to happen. And then when you get a player like Pocket, or you get the Pocket effect, I'm going to call it that now, when you have a mini series or a one shot, then you have something happen that you're just like, I did not expect this to end this way, or I did not expect it to, because they were a group of anarchs, and towards the end they're just like, yeah, we'll work with the Camarilla. For those of you who don't know, it's like a group of rebels. This is like, okay, in Star Wars terms, this would be like if
Please,
the
please
rebels
explain vampire lore
decided-
to us, please.
I know, right? Well, I know you know, but I don't know if everybody else does.
And then the Talmahira, they show up and they're like, ooh, we're like double secret evil vampires. You didn't even know.
Right? Exactly.
It's a lot of
this is
bullshit.
like, this is like if the rebels basically were like, we're going to join the Empire. We're going to work for them. We're going to be stormtroopers now. That's kind of what happened towards the end of that. It was kind of cool. So I always love moments like that of like, well, fuck, I'm really happy I don't have to GM the next episode, but I also kind of want to. But I'm also kind of like, oh, I'm happy I did not plan a whole year and y'all pulled this shit, like I'm really happy that this was a one shot. So if we ever come back to it, it'll be fun and not stressful.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I feel like the fun thing is when you're doing a longer running show is finding like a balance in the group between player styles, like knowing who are your pockets, or in my case with the Roll20 stuff, my distracted elves, because elf is just like that. She's just like, I don't know, I just rip off my own arm and beat him to death with it because like fuck it, I got 2 arms. So having those players, but then having the ones who are like, I'm going to just like gently plant a seed in this episode and then check in with me in 30 or 40 more episodes and we'll harvest this bitter fruit. Like there's that too. Jesse's one of those. Jesse is the like, he acts like a goof on the surface, but he's like, I'm going to mention 2 or 3 things now. And then in 6 or 8 weeks, we'll talk about them again. We'll hatch my evil plot. It's fun building a cast of people for that and keeping in mind how long you plan the game to run. It's interesting though that you prefer one shots and mini series, because there's something special about a 10 to 12 or like that kind of range for the episodes, because you get enough to kind of warm up and then it doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah, and then if you want to continue it, you can.
Right,
and if you don't want to continue it, yeah, you don't have to. And yeah, I don't know, it's just a great little bite-sized adventure, and I love how self-contained they are. And I think the thing with like miniseries is people always get hung up on like, oh, but then like, what if, we want to come back to that? Well, I mean, you always can. It's not going anywhere. It's still there, Yeah. And like I said, and then you can readjust. So like when you do get like a moment at the end of the miniseries that you're like, I did not expect this to happen. You don't have that stress of like, next week I have to pick this up again. You can come back to it 3, 4, 5 months down the line and kind of come back at it from a different angle, knowing how the players ended the last one. You can even do like a 3, 4, 5 year time jump, or, play the same story through from a different angle. Like, oh, we're in that same timeline, we're in that same universe, but now we're playing these other people and it's happening simultaneously as the last campaign did.
You just Rosencrantz and Guildenstern that shit where you're like, yeah, Hamlet's cool and all, but meanwhile, somebody should somewhere, because you don't see it integrated into things like the Dungeon Master's Guide enough. Someone should do like a series of videos or some essays or just like publish a book about how to take pacing ideas from like comic books or TV shows or movies and apply that to GMing, because at this point, that's all I do. I just think about like, okay, is this like Nebula Jazz wasn't it like an HBO show? It was like 10 or 15 episodes. Then we renewed for another season, that kind of thing. Whereas Court of Swords is like it's like a comic series. It's serialized and the characters move around and we jump from place to place.
I don't think that's something that people realize, like for broadcasted games, is that even like working on like starter kit and stuff, like working with Geek and Sundry, like it's you storyboard. And even though
TV figured this shit out already, like they know how to do this, and we're just like blithely, like for the most part, ignoring it. But it's super helpful.
And people are like, does that mean it's scripted? And it's like, no, you just have an idea of like, these are 3 things I would like to happen in this episode, and these are 3 things I would like to happen in the next.
For me, in this game and in Court of Swords, that's what goals are for, right? Goals are like, what do you want to try to do today, and what scenes should we try to aim the characters at? Mark, when you're GMing, what do you like? Do you like doing the one shots? Do you like doing the big long campaigns? Where do you land on
I've
that
done
spectrum?
both now. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I feel like I completely agree with Bronze. Like when you do these mini series, craziest stuff happens. Like every time I've done a mini series, it's gone off the rails. The players just have a laugh with it. And that's really fun. But I feel like with my players, and this is purely just based on my group, it doesn't have the same gravitas. It doesn't have the same emotional impact that the bigger campaigns do. Like when we did our first High Rollers campaign, like they genuinely cared about those characters and we had the big emotional beats. But in the mini series, we just didn't get that. It was just kind of throwaway and having fun, which is great. And we had fun with that. But I think that just works a little bit better for our group. I do definitely agree on the pacing thing that a lot of places just don't talk about it, and it's something that I've slowly begun sort of learning the more I've streamed games online, that you do kind of plan things out and you have scenes in mind, or you have like, you know, key points or like key scenes that you can just kind of like drip and drab where you need to, but you got to keep it loose enough that the players can mess with your plans, like all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know, I think I like both for different things. I think like you know, it depends on what kind of mood we're in. I definitely have enjoyed the bigger campaigns just because I feel like I can kind of bite into the characters a bit more than the one shots. But that again could just be my group as well. So
yeah. I mean,
that's the thing. It's different groups.
Yeah, and I mean, you either have a plan for the game and you want to build it to feel a certain way cinematically or whatever serially, and then you pick players that will fit that, or you structure the game with your players to be like, what are you guys interested in? What do you want to do? And then you have to take into account the game, because some games wear out their welcome, right? Like a game like Apocalypse World, you can't play Apocalypse World for like 30 or 40 sessions. Like by the time you get to session 15, you better be done, because the game is done with you. Like you've done everything you can do with it mechanically.
Yeah, for sure. There's been a bunch of mechanics like that. And I think like it's different for me as well, because I don't know about you guys, but like I have a very rigid group. Like our group doesn't change because we play in person. We don't really have a lot of other people in the area or in the city to bring in to do that with. So it's the same group of people. So maybe that kind of influences what I enjoy as well. Because like you said, I'm always structuring around them rather than like finding people to match the system. It's like I've got these people and now we're going to play a game.
Do you ever find with a locked group like that people just tend to play the same stuff, or they repeat the same patterns, where you're like, listen, man, your last character was a tiefling bard who had a drinking problem. You need to figure out your shit and make something different. Like, do you ever get into that with people?
Yeah, there are definitely some people who they know what they like and they stay in their comfort zone. And I'm slowly starting to get them to kind of branch out and experiment with different things. And I think that came from players who were very new to D&D. Like for us, because we play almost D&D exclusively, they were very new to it, and so they just kind of had their tropes and their characters that they like from media, and they wanted to stay in their little safe zone. But the more we've played over the years, the more they've started branching out and playing with different things and trying different things out. And I think now we have a very diverse, like they're pretty diverse with that. But certainly for like the first 2 years, yeah, they would always stay in their little bubble whenever we do the miniseries and things like that. So
I used to think that being a GM for games would give me like impetus to play like more different characters when I'm a player, but I find when I'm a player, I'm just like, it's the same fucking characters over and over. Like I'm that player where I'm like, yeah, I'll make a character, and halfway through character creation, I'm like, wait a second, this is just that other character I played already. Damn it.
But if you're enjoying it, like I'm one of those people where I'm like, at the end of the day, if you're having fun, it doesn't matter what you do. If you want to play the same character and you have fun playing that character, do it. But if you're the type of person who's you're beginning to find it's getting a bit dull or a bit stale, then change it up. And then mess around with it. Same with the groups. Like, you know, if your group likes playing the same kind of game or the same pacing of game, just play that. That's what matters at the end of the day. It's what's fun. That's my way of thinking of it anyway.
Do you ever have chat notice stuff about that you don't? Like, notice that you have patterns in your characters, or like that an NPC is the same as one you already played? Because I find stuff that I would miss. Chat is like, okay, Adam, I get it. This is the thing that you're doing. I understand.
Yeah, it's always like the Reddit, going back on the Reddit, and they'll be like, oh, I wonder if this is a callback to this because of this, and they're kind of similar to this. And I'm like, no, I didn't even think of that, actually. Like, that's completely just my brain putting in its favorite things or my brain doing its kind of classic thing. Nowhere is that more common with doing voices as well, because I like doing voices for NPCs, and every once in a while everybody sounds the freaking same because I'm doing the same stuff. So
you get to a point, if you're like me and not like Max, because Max has never had this problem as far as I can tell, but you get to a point where you're like, well, those are the 4 voices I can do. I figured it out. I hit the end of the line. And fairly recently, someone, I wish that I could credit them because it's totally become a thing that I'm like hyper aware of now. Somebody was like, every campaign you've ever run has at least one feisty murder lesbian in it. Like that's a trope. Every time there's like, well, here's the feisty murder lesbian for this campaign. Look at her go. She's gonna kill some people. She's gonna swear about it. She's gonna hit on the ladies. And that's
high five.
It's such valuable feedback though. It's like
oh yeah, totally
invaluable. I like one of the first streamed RPGs I did. I didn't even notice it, but somebody in the YouTube comments, that odd, like super valuable YouTube comment was like, love the campaign, but Jesus fucking Christ, all of Bronze's NPCs are fucking assholes. And I was like, oh my God, like the party has not encountered a single person that is nice. And now
I have that problem too.
Problem. Now I have like the reverse where everyone's like, oh my gosh, Bronze's characters are so nice. One of them got written into like the open legend setting. Like I've had like my NPCs take off now, and I hate that when the focus is on the NPC and not on the players. Yeah, but I had that problem big time of all of my NPCs were like villains, and I was like, how did I do this?
I think it's way harder to make characters, because if you want to like give the players something to do, you just put an NPC in the way, right? You're just like, okay, you want X, well, here's a character who wants you not to have X because they want it for themselves or whatever. But making a character who is compelling and interesting, who's also like somebody's friend, is way harder. And then also, those are the characters that just get murdered tragically. Like you put together an NPC that you're like, well, the ship doesn't have an engineer. I'm gonna make a character who's just like a plucky young guy who just wants to get out there into space and hang out with you, and you're gonna fucking get him killed. You're gonna kill this poor boy. Because that's how it goes. Like you give them something nice and they just break it, and then they complain when everything is like hates them to death. So yeah.
Well, and it's hard to not give the players everything they want unless your NPCs are assholes. Because otherwise you'd never have to do like a charisma roll, right?
I mean,
you'd
Max,
be like, hey, can I have this? And they'd be like, of course.
Yeah, Max, you have that same experience with me, right? In Court of Swords, I just give you everything you want, and your life as a character is just like calm and simple and plain, and you just never.
That is right, Adam. You are the best GM ever.
Thank you, Max. It's nice to hear. I mean, you've played a bunch of characters just on Court of Swords alone. How do you do the thing where you don't have just like 4 voices that you do? Like how do you build that repertoire? Because this is the thing when people are like, who do you think should be a GM? Who do you think should like try GMing for the first time? I'm like, I can do the mechanical stuff, but let's get Max to do all the character voices, because your repertoire is pretty damn wide. Where does that come from? How do you do that?
For me, I've been doing voices since I was a kid, just to entertain myself for a really long time. So I mean, some people just have a natural kind of ability to snap into certain voices and stuff and pick up new voices easier. I think I'm pretty proficient in some. There's definitely some. I have a decent range, but there are certain ones that take a lot more time than a lot of people don't see. Like they just hear the end product voice, and I'm super picky with my voices. Like I am.
Yes.
Like anytime I try to learn a voice, it has to be perfect or close enough to where I'm super brutal on that. A lot of people would probably hear it and be like, "Oh, that's pretty good," and I'd be like, "It's fucking shit. It's nowhere near."
You're like, every time I open my mouth, I hate myself. Yeah, it's exacting skill. So, what do you do to get like? Do you just practice it? You just walk around your house talking to yourself in your character voice?
that I would give to other people if they want to try to learn and have like different exercises and training their voice and stuff like that, especially when trying to learn different styles of voice. Draw on different TV shows and cartoons and whatever music or things like that you already have like voice references, and then you listen over and over, and then you start to sit and listen back to like dialogue, say from like a Skyrim character or from whatever your favorite video game is, and then if you're fortunate to have a microphone that you can listen to yourself in your studio, like monitoring headphones. That is super key, because then you can actually hear what you're actually sounding like, as opposed to what your ears sound like, or what your ears sound like. I can hear my ears, Adam.
So before the show, Max did a bunch of drugs for some reason. So if he's a little weird today, everybody, I'm sorry. It's just this is how it goes.
Yeah. And then try to think about the different thing. The example that I always use is like for Zoidberg. That one, to learn that voice, I had to listen to the way that like mechanically he was probably doing it, and then I watched a video of Billy West doing the voice. So if you have a specific character and you can find a clip of that person doing the voice, look at what they're doing mechanically, because a lot lot of times there's some stuff like that for that. For Zoidberg, it's like really loose jaw, cheeky, like hello, Dr. Zoidberg here. You know, like it's really loose and relaxed, and you just
Very
let it
physical.
resonate. And yeah,
Yeah, I think if you watch a lot of cartoons, but you don't see you've never watched the actors doing the voice, and then you watch a show like this one where people are doing voices, like any kind of role play thing where you can see the face. People, when they do different voices, will often do very different faces, and it can be subtle too. Like I know that there are voices from certain NPCs where I'll focus on the camera, I'll look at the camera to do the voice, and it helps change the way I'm thinking about what I'm saying versus like looking at the player screen where everybody's reacting to stuff.
there's
Yeah.
there's
It's all
also
just
ticks that
acting and
there's ticks that I do. Like if you want to know how I'm about to talk, I'll like do this a lot. I'll go like unknowing, like you'll see me kind of like lean in like this and go like it's this weird thing that I've noticed about myself. Especially voices that are like, you know, like Booker, like, hey, how's it going? You know, or it's like a little more tense and tight in the neck. So you see me like prepping my neck for that. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
weird.
it's cool that even doing like voices and stuff, there's a physical, like an embodiment that happens where you like change the way that you're posed. Well, that's good. That's good advice. I know normally this is the part of the show where we just like ask everybody what they've been up to and talk about that bullshit, but I'm talking about role playing games because that's what I'm thinking about. I wanted to say while we are talking about characters, I feel like, Anne, your characters are always I love them so much because they're the kinds of NPCs that I like. Like when I want to create a character who's gonna get shit done, I'm like, yeah, this is a character who's just stuck in a situation with a bunch of people who she thinks is less competent than her, and she's just not. She's done with this horse shit. And and when you make characters, like all of the games that we've played together, your character has been like that, where you're just like, okay, we just have to do this. You're all idiots. Let's go. Come on. How much of that is just like Anne coming forward?
Yeah, I was gonna
Where do you
say,
draw
I
that
don't-
inspiration from?
I don't want to examine this too closely. I remember when I made Rune for Blades, and she was like a drug addict, like kind of apathetic, like mystical person. And I remember seeing somebody say like how they were like, I wonder how much of this is just Anne. Just like drawing on like her, and I'm like, I'm not a drug addict, okay? She's like actually insane. I was like trying actively
Right.
to like play a character that was just like off the rails, you know? Not like not to the point of being like I think that there's like kind of a line between people being unexpected in the way that they role play, but then people actually being like disruptive and doing things where
Yeah.
it's like, okay, that's not actually that doesn't make sense, and that's also not helpful, and like you're just now kind of like making the show about yourself, which I don't really like. And so I wasn't trying to do that, but I was trying to be like actively very like weird with that character, and then people are just like, oh, it's literally just Anne. And I was like, I don't know how to do this then to make it like not me. So
Well, I think the thing too that a lot of folks kind of forget is that like role-playing games are they're team games, right? There are things to accomplish and there's stuff to do. And so if you're used to playing, like somebody jokingly pointed out in chat, like trained from thousands of hours of Siege, there is like a degree of that, of like the way you play other games that will come into your role-playing, right? Like if you're used to orchestrating a team to getting shit done, then that can play into how you play RPGs. Have you ever considered and just playing a character that's like totally off the rails, like a complete nut job, or a character who's like more like, I don't know, let's say like the way JP plays a character like 10 or 15 episodes in, where you can tell that he's like gotten all the mileage out of his character and it's like, all right, I'm ready to cause some trouble. Is that ever something that you think about playing, or are you just like,
I remember when
it's too far out
JP,
there?
I think we talked about it at an event or something where he was like saying how he has gone through so many characters that he doesn't have like a real connection to the characters anymore, and he doesn't like he's like fine with throwing them away, right? Like he's fine if
Yeah.
they die, not a big deal. He'll just make a new one. I haven't gotten to that point yet, I think. And so
Sure.
I still like I really care about the characters, and like wanting to keep them alive is very much part of the motivation. Um So yeah, and I think that for me, I wouldn't want to be on a show and like be like playing a character that's very chaotic and inadvertently cause problems for other people and like step over that line into being disruptive to the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
we
I
had
think what's
this.
always made me shy away from it.
Yeah, we had that conversation. Bronze brought up in a post show once about that, like wanting to be being willing to like have tension in play and push back on what the other characters are doing, but not wanting to be like, well, I've irrevocably destroyed or damaged your character, and now you can't play them anymore. And like that can
Right.
be really hard too, because you want to like, yeah, you want to give everybody space to do what they're doing, but if somebody's shenanigans are getting like risking your investment, that's a tricky place to be for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially I think in a show like this where people could die if you were too chaotic, or like you could
Mhm.
put other people at risk. I think that is also what kind of scare me from doing that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Where you don't want to just
Yeah.
be like,
Well,
okay, well, I fly our spaceship into the moon, and then there's like other people on the ship, like.
That would be horrible.
I mean,
about to say.
we all saw me do it, Bronze, all right? Everybody saw me
Look at his
looking awkward.
face. Look at his face.
I was trying to help, okay?
listen, he only got
Sorry.
himself killed. It's fine. Listen,
It's a
cutting
rough
three.
line to walk, though. I
Cutting
totally hear where
three.
you're coming from, man. Like
Yeah.
that's a big one. Like for
Well, that's
example,
what I
like
tried to do.
even in D&D, like if a player's like, I'm gonna grab this, and you're like, I'm gonna stop them, and then you realize like I'm a barbarian. I'll always win that role. Like at some point, I'm taking agency away from this cleric or this bard by consistently physically restraining them because I'm gonna win the role every single time. Checking
Oh,
in
I'm-
and being like, maybe I should not force this action on this person, or maybe I should not stop him from touching that. Maybe we should have a conversation. Because it sucks when like every time. Like, because I've been that person where it's like, oh yeah, I'm the strongest person in the party. Like come on, let's be honest, warlocks. Level 1 warlock, shit on everybody in your party. Like I don't care what you say. So when you got cantrips, everybody else that you could just blast Eldritch Blast endlessly, and you hit a point where you're like, if I were to strong arm everybody else in the party, I would win every time. So it can't
Yeah.
come to that. It can't come to blows. Otherwise, I'll just win every time. Depending on
I
your
should
party.
never be allowed to play Dungeons and Dragons. I'm an intolerable party member. I hate it. I have to win, and not personally, but I have to like drag the rest of the party kicking and screaming across the finish line. I'm like, stop talking to this person. Stop whining about your alignment. Let's kill them and move on. They're worth like 10 experience points. It'll take like 5 minutes. We can get to the next fight. Let's fight some more stuff. Let's get some treasure. Come on, you guys. Stop doing this. I'm terrible. I should just never be allowed. People like Dr. Grigori, but I made him so that I could win at D&D. It was a terrible experience. Not for me. I had a fun time, but I'm sure everybody else hated it. So yeah, I feel that. Some people should just be forced to GM forever and not be given characters. It's not allowed. Yeah. Well, speaking of role-playing games, I mean, we could just talk about them, or we could play one. We could just play a game. It's time for Max's favorite part of the show. Max, what does Booker want to accomplish today? What's your goal, buddy?
I'm more so not ready for this question because I'm literally photoshopping a friend of mine touching ET like this because he made a picture of himself. He made a picture of himself going like this, like, ugh. So I'm like, that'd be funny if he was touching ET's finger. Anyways,
I appreciate your goof. If you'd like a
Uh-huh.
few minutes, I can talk to the rest of the class.
No, let's think about this.
And it's been like, it's been like 2 weeks. So
It's been a long time,
we were
yeah.
on the ship. I just talked
Yeah,
to the
so
captain.
this is my intention is that this is the last. We're gonna scene frame pretty aggressively. My intention is this is the last of the like hanging out on the Prudence interstitial shit before the next meeting. There's gonna be a time skip of a couple of months. At the beginning of the next episode, I'll be like, Prism News Network presents. Here's all the bullshit that's happened since April 8th. To catch us up a little bit more, to push us along the timeline. So today is the day for like finishing stuff and setting in motion plans that you can then later describe as like over the course of the next 6 weeks, this stuff happens. So these plans are, like pre-war, kind of like things leading up to the tension. I've got a couple of things the NPCs want, but you can help them or ignore them as the case may be. But use this episode to push your own personal. It's beautiful. That's great. Thank you. Thanks.
I'm sorry, I had to share.
To push your character's agenda. So for you, Bronze, whatever you want Kieran to accomplish, today's the day. And I'll probably be giving Bronze like a little bit more than the usual share of screen time, just because the plan is that the Amira leaves the ship. So I want to give you a chance to get your shit done. But think about what you want to do, and make that your goal for today. We're gonna try to do that. But yeah, right now the kind of pressing stuff that we had last time was that Yancey had given Nomi the mission to investigate Penelope, the Acre representative on the ship, because he's like, yo, things with Acre are tense right now, and I need to know whether we can trust this person or not. So go and investigate her. And then Nomi went to the captain and was like, Yancey's a prick. And the captain was like, yes, he is. So there's wheels within wheels over there on Team Harkonnen. I mean Nomi, and so you got that going on, and then Booker and the Crusader to a lesser degree, and everybody's favorite weeaboo NPC Nicola are planning a party. There's going to be a party, so that is a thing. And Karen, you are planning to leave, get out of here, get while the getting's good. So with that in mind, what does everybody want their goals to be? Anybody who has a goal, we'll just do it in that order. Unless nobody knows what they want, in which case.
I had to cough.
Well,
do we do 3 goals again on this show? Again?
No, just do one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always forget that. I always I'm like, oh shit, 3 goals, and then I'm reminded that it's 1, and I'm like, that's much better.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing some kind of like long, because technically you can do like long and short term goals, but we haven't been doing the long term ones. Though I suppose we could.
You mean I haven't been exposing the crux, the hypocrisy and horribleness?
Right? Yeah, like it's just because there's no like in Court of Swords we use the like you get a little bit of experience if you work towards but don't resolve it. But with like a long term goal, it's easy to forget because you're like it's the goal in the long term, but like we don't check in on it every session. So
yeah.
So I've just been doing short term.
Well, Booker was running a party, so I mean that also seems like a pretty gimme thing, unless some crazy shit happens at the party. Run a party, like make sure we have a successful party.
Yeah, like what's the point of the party, right? Because the goal isn't to have the party, you have the party for a reason, and I believe it was because you said that Booker was bored. So
Booker was bored and also feeling a bit lonely, though he wouldn't admit it, because of the news of Cecilia.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah, because your sort of maybe girlfriend space robot piloting hookup went home because of the Acre Corporation landing Space Marines on our planet.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does Booker want at this party? Are you looking for like a replacement girlfriend? Are you like do you want to improve? Are you going to give a speech and improve ship's morale? Like what do you want? What do you want to get out of this?
I mean, ultimately, Booker wants to not be bored, but he wants to occupy time. I guess to make sure that to improve overall ship's viewpoint on Booker, like on his
right, you're gonna hold a party to get everybody to like you better. I like that. Raise your social profile.
Sure,
but this is and this is Max writing a goal for his character, not like necessarily what Booker would think he wants. So
yeah,
okay.
I just like stipulating that so people know that Booker is not like.
Totally.
I mean, you could tell he was. That's a big part of the reason why he was like, I don't know, whatever, do this, whatever you want to do with this party. Sure, I don't care. The little part of him inside's like, God, I hope it goes well.
Sure, of course. Okay. All right. So you want to use the party to raise people's opinion of yourself. I like that. Even though Booker would never phrase it that way, or probably doesn't even know that's what he's doing. Okay. Cool. Crusader Gabriel, what do you want to do?
Oh God, please go someone else. I don't know.
No, we're staying with you. So let's let's talk about the situation on the ship, right? So
Mm.
the ship has no spiritual guidance anymore because the old chaplain went away, and then the next chaplain died and converted into arch wicked badass Crusader Gabriel. So there is a vacuum. There's a spiritual vacuum, and in a spiritual vacuum, that's how you get shit like the CHR, and you don't want that. You don't want that to happen. So there is something that maybe you might feel responsible to. There is also, like, you could check in with the Richter. You could, I don't know, use this as an opportunity to show us some stuff we don't know about the Crusader yet, right? You could be like, call my mom. I assume you don't have a mom. I assume you just came out of the Space Vatican fully formed.
Yeah, like Hitman. He was cloned.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess, like, yeah, like preventing like the rising of like any heretics and heresy is a big goal for him, but he's also feeling very dejected with how the church seemed to have handled Berkman, and this kind of dismissive attitude of like, that's not for you to worry about, like you just stick to killing people's, when he knows that there's some bad shit going down, and he's beginning to get suspicious of certain things.
Well, so that's a great question then. Like, what does Crusader Gabriel do when his faith is shaken? Right? What do you do?
I don't know. I don't know.
Where would he turn?
Well, I mean, I guess like his main de facto background is warfare and strike teams and doing all of that kind of stuff. So it would be trying to find the most direct problem. Like, he is, at the end of the day, he is a bullet. He needs to be loaded and fired somewhere. So I really don't know. I really struggle with this. Like Max, I really struggle with goals.
Well, and this, I think the thing with Gabriel too is that this is a period of like men of war are uneasy in times of peace, right?
Peace.
Like, don't worry, that won't last long. But you'll start looking for a fight, right? Like, the Crusader doesn't know what to do except to like fight things, and right now you're just like on a peaceful ship. And so so I mean, your goal could just be to like research your enemy. It could be like look into the people that have wronged you, like prepare yourself for a future conflict.
Yeah, or maybe like try and secure allies as well, like try and find people that he knows he can trust, or like stabilize relationships with people that he can trust, like make sure that he's got somebody that he can turn to, or somebody that can, maybe it's a case of he's so used to being used, he needs somebody to kind of give him, direction and stuff as well.
Yeah,
that makes
sense. Okay.
I don't know how to word it, but how
about like find a trustworthy ally among the crew, like somebody that can be Gabriel's like handler, right? Because you're an implement with no one implementing.
Well, he doesn't trust the people that were using him, so that's finding somebody else.
Okay, cool.
We'll go with that for now because I don't know.
I like all this like this introspection with the boys of the party. The like writing a goal for them and revealing a little bit about what they want, right? Like, Booker really just wants to stop being lonely, and Gabriel feels like a purposeless, like, what am I gonna do? I need somebody to tell me to take orders from. I like it. It's good. All right, so find someone trustworthy to take orders from. Okay, I like it. Okay, so, Kieran, what do you want to do today? What is your goal?
I think my goal is going to be to ascertain the extent of my aunt's involvement with this STO. Haha, I remembered it. I almost said Central Trade Organization. Don't ask me why. And then
it's a different one. There's so many trade organizations.
And see if she knows anything about what's happening. Considering all my character has to go off of is a little tidbit of info that Yancey gave. And I'm gonna try to remember. Yancey said that Sorry, I'll have to refresh my memory. What was the piece of
No, it's okay.
information we got 2 weeks ago?
The bit about
There's
like
troops,
Acre. There was
right?
Yeah, there's been a denouncement of the Acre Corporation and like its head board. The board is all they've all been basically accused of treason, and they're all like under arrest at a distance, and Crux is like gunning for them. And that sort of spread throughout the corporation. And it was the result of Acre landing Space Marines on a Houses Minor planet on Diomikoto.
Right. But I don't know why they were doing it and if they were doing so with the knowledge of my house and those things. So I'm going to try to get some more information from my aunt since she's the only lead I have in that regard.
That's right. Yeah. And you know that she is somehow personally involved in the STO and that Acre is a founding member of that organization. Okay, cool. Yeah. So figure out her deal. And then we can if you make your escape today, cool. If not, that can be part of the epilogue bit in between this episode and the next episode where you can say
that was my goal from last time. So I kind of just kept that going.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I wanted to add this on just because I feel like it'd be cool to resolve that.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll have that. That ties into some ideas that I had. Lastly, Nomi, what do you want to do? You have your mandate from Yancey to deal with this Acre rep, but you also have your own personal stuff you're doing. What do you want?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do for your goal?
Her name's Penelope, right?
Her name is Penelope. Yeah.
Okay. Then yeah, I think my goal is to determine the extent of her reach, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what she's doing. Investigate Penelope.
Yeah, Yancey basically just said we don't trust or like we don't trust or like this lady, but we don't have a specific mandate to like arrest or whatever her. Go and figure out what her fucking deal is and see how aggressive do we need to be with her.
Okay.
So, determine the extent of Penelope's, I'm going to say, guilt, I guess.
Yeah, like, is she doing something that we need to address or not?
Okay. Sure. The answer is yes. The answer is definitely yes, but we'll figure out how much when you get there. Great. Okay. So, Crusader Gabriel, you are back on the ship. You have returned. You've returned from the planet. You've got your quarters, and I want to start with you. So, you're in your quarters, and what do they look like? Are you like, this is the first time you've been back in your room on the ship since what happened to you, since the traumatic experience that you had? And you've come home and returned to the room of a man who technically no longer exists. So what do we see you doing there? Are you hacking up?
So I think,
are you changing things? What does it look like?
I think he's definitely changing things. I think that we kind of see him packing away things like the old chapel investments. We see him kind of packing away not all of the kind of high church Messiah iconography, but a good deal of it. And where the room was once one of the kind of like standard rooms on the Prudence, he's taking it more back to that utilitarian kind of bare bones design. But we begin to see like, you know, his combat armor is now hanging up instead of his, you know, chaplain armor. You know, he's got the case with the sniper rifle that he got on Berkman is still kind of secured and is now like, you know, kind of checked away or something like that. It's becoming more of an armory, more like a soldier's kind of quarters. And he's going back to what he knew.
This is some like straight up biblical shit, right? This is the like, when I was a child, I spake as a child thing, right? The like, when I became a man, I put away childish things. And so you're like, the time for the book is done. The time for the gun has arrived. Yeah. So it's becoming less the room of a priest and more the room of a warrior and a fighter of God.
Yes, and he's probably, when he finishes kind of packing some of the things away and it's stripped down, he probably goes to a data pad and is I think I would also be trying to look up connections between finding out who the individuals that were involved with Trillian and Berkman, because I was making some notes to myself, and I think that would also be an avenue that Gabriel wants to pursue, is tracking down who exactly was involved in all of that dealings, because he thinks that is, you know, a disease. He thinks that is a problem within the High Church that he has to solve now.
I love it. So like, you're putting away all your like scholarly religious stuff, and you're replacing it with like a crazy person string diagram.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is the
guns.
corkboard going up and a picture of
Yeah, it's like the
Awesome.
golden cathedral at the middle of it, and like, you know, who is behind this and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. So I mean, I love this side plot of like Crusader Gabriel roots out corruption in the church. So your list of names, the people that you currently have, you know, you have the location of the, you know, obviously the planet and the cathedral, and this connection between Trilliant and the church. And then for individuals, you have the Inquisitor that you spoke to, right? That was someone. There's the Elder. Do you think the Elder falls into this conspiracy net that you?
I think he cast her off. Yeah, no, I think he cast Miguela off from how everything resolved with Talat Lao. Like after he saw how that went down and the way that she was, everything else, I think he's kind of scrapped her off. I think there was somebody, Victoria, who was the one who did his arm. Like she was like the head of like something to do with his
prosthesis.
Arm. Yes, I only had the name Victoria, I think.
Yeah, let me get. I have my own weirdo string diagram. Let me get it for you.
Nice.
So the people that are definitely on this were Inquisitor Akinyemi, and the technical director in charge of prosthesis, Veronica Zuri. So there's those two you have interacted with directly. You know of, but I don't think ever met or interacted with Linus Reed, the Trilliant section chief, the HR guy that the Amira met with, and then his personal assistant that got lent to her, Aram Cruz. Those guys were on the list of people on Berkman.
Yeah, nice.
Okay. Cool. So that's what we see you. We see you like setting that up.
Just like getting any information he has.
What's something as the shot kind of like pans across the room as you're doing this, what's something that you have, I don't know, like resisted or delayed putting away? What's something from before, from your old identity that is still in the room, you either consciously or otherwise have like avoided packing up?
Well, I think he would purposely keep his book. I can't remember what they exactly called. It's not the Bible, but it's the same thing of like all the teachings of the Messiah Church. Space Bible of Messiah. He's probably still got that, like the same black book that he's kind of always kept and that he would carry around with him as the chaplain. Like that's by his bedside. And that is, you know, he's kept that very purposefully. And maybe it's open to like a passage about, you know, vigilance or something like that, one of the virtues. And he's kind of like,
right. Yeah. Well, one of the unholy vices is corruption, right? Like, so that's that you're maybe caught on that bit about the
rereading it
and vices and all right. Okay. And this is like a paper copy of the holy texts.
Yeah, I think this is like he bought or had made like a physical copy. He didn't want to keep it on data pad. Like this is,
so that would be
like a personal book to him.
Yeah, it would be seen as both somewhat extravagant, because outside of a couple of planets, there aren't a lot of like trees to chop down to make paper. Outside of like Almori and maybe a couple other planets, and also like it's just not convenient. Like it's kind of old and like kind of a weird indulgence.
I kind of like the idea that maybe the book was a gift given to him, like when he finished. Before he became Chaplain Valencia, like when he went off on this kind of like, oh, I'm going to be a man of peace and God now. I've done all my killing. I've hunted since. I've hunted heretics, and you know it was kind of given to him as a gift by maybe somebody that he worked with or like a handler or something. And he's kind of kept it with him. Right,
and that could tie into why you've kept it around too, because it has this attachment to an authority.
Yeah, it's a sentimental thing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we see that's open and has survived the sort of Spartanification of your room.
Yes. Yeah. John Spartan.
yeah.
This is John Spartan now. This is Demolition Man / Judge Dredd.
Not really the Spartan I was going for, but that's fine. That'll do.
I'm about it. If you want
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
it, we can. That would be great.
Hey, yo, it's me, Gabriel. Hey, what you doing, huh?
It's me, your friend Timmy, but I also talk like this.
What's with the 3 seashells?
Okay. All right, everybody.
Carrie, anyway, back to
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you have your room all sort of set now in this new way. And you're done. You've completed the task. We see you kind of at the last part of this. What do you do now? Like now that you've kind of like tidied the room and you've rebuilt it so that it is a place for the Crusader. What do you do?
I think does Gabriel know? I think Gabriel knew that the Amira had made connections with Trillian, right? Because I remember she had equipment and things.
Yeah, and you saw that dude around. You saw Aram Cruz just like hanging out.
Okay. Yeah, he'd probably want to he'd probably go and try and find the Amira. I think he'd want to see if she has any information that he can use for his crazy psycho board now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like try and see if she met anybody or heard anything.
Petition to call it a murder board.
Yeah. Look,
Nice.
Only I can call it the murder board, okay?
Analog future Pinterest, but with blood.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Crusader, you set out and have this intention to go and find the Amira car. So, Kieran, where are you? We cut to you. We cross cut to you. Where do we find you? What are you up to?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe on my way to my aunt's.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Or packing up my stuff.
So you have actually that would be good too. Yeah, if we to do that parallel to like cross over to like as the Crusader is like unpacking these other things and changing his space, then when we cut over, we find the Amira in her quarters. So what is your scene? Set that scene for us. So what do we see there as we cross over?
I'm not doing most of the work. My assistant is. Yeah,
Good,
yeah.
Good. By
But
herself.
I'm very
You're
particular.
just overseeing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more managerial, also critiquing her folding technique. So that's probably what we come in on, is the Amira telling Eleanor, you know, small squares. You have to fold them smaller. That way they stand up on their own. It's called the Kamari method.
Sure. Yeah. Named after the famous battleship, the Kamari. Okay. All right. So she's folding some of your garb and packing it away. And yeah, and have you already reached out to your aunt like, hey, I want to talk to you, or are you still keeping that on the DL for now?
No, I probably would have told her. I probably would have let her know that
she would come to see you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of saying like, oh, we need to talk, it would be more, because I don't want her to be on guard. It would be more of like I'm waiting back to hear back on some paperwork going through, but I've been reassigned. It'd be nice to see you before I go.
Right. Okay.
That type of a thing.
Yeah. So she arrives unannounced. She does not let you know that she's coming, but there is a tone indicating that you have a visitor outside of your room.
Well, since
you can tell that it's not a member of the Crux component of the crew because they don't knock or ring the bell; they just come in. So
right. Well, since my assistant is folding my clothes, I'd probably answer. She's otherwise busy. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd just answer the door for her.
Okay. Yeah. So the door opens. Your aunt is standing at the door. She seems to be in between, like coming off of or going to a shift in the navigation suite. So she has her like ship's uniform, her kind of Crux uniform with the Valen sash. and she doesn't have her like her veil on or her like sort of ritualist like navigator operating gear, but she's there, and she looks like, yeah, she's in the middle of something, like she's on her way to something. And we haven't seen her in a while, so I'll give you a quick description of her. So she's, I think we described her as looking like we'd cast her with an actress in her like mid 50s, early 60s. She is Korean, probably a little shorter than you, and always has an air of being like kind of like she needs to be somewhere else. She's always like a little bit elsewhere. And so with that same sort of distracted look on her face, she sees you and she smiles kind of wanly and says, I hope you're not too busy. Looks past you at the like you're obviously not, but like
Yeah. Yeah. No, not at all. Come in. And I'll like gesture her for her to come in.
hmm Okay. How packed is your room? Is it like mostly packed? Have you been like cracking the whip on your surf here to like go fast, or is this
It
a more
wouldn't be
casual?
mostly packed just because the Amira has so much shit.
Mhm.
Because I remember when we described her room, it's very gaudy. She's the type
Yes,
of
the
person
opposite
that
of
has
the
like,
Crusaders room. Yeah.
yeah. There's like tapestries and knickknacks, lots of little knickknacks, things like elephants carved out of marble sitting on her desk and things like that. And then she has a normal desk and she has a separate writing desk because it wouldn't do for her to write her correspondence at her normal desk. That space is for contemplation. There's just a lot of, she has like, you could tell that she's a very methodical person, but also that she's very like attached to things in some ways.
Yeah, so I think that she looks at your room and she gets that look on her face that people get when they know that they're right about something. And you recall a conversation when you first came on board the ship where she said, like, when you leave, this is going to take forever for you to pack up.
Right,
And
right.
so you see that look. She's about to be like, you could see the "I told you so" coming.
hmm
But you have a moment if you want to like interrupt it, or do you give her the satisfaction of having this moment she's been waiting for?
I'll just kind of like roll my eyes and just be like, don't worry, I have help.
She smiles knowing that the two of you have had that moment, and she says, I just came from the navigation bay, though I don't know why. We've been sitting here in orbit for a while. Everything is just sort of stopped. But not you. Look at you, packing up all your things. Where are you going? You've been reassigned?
Yes, that's correct.
To where? Another vessel?
Yes. Well, I never really was trained for matters related to potential combat situations. Just not my place.
I saw the vids of your mission to Berkman.
Oh,
way
you saw
you-
that, did you?
She nods. I was worried about you, but clearly I didn't have to be. You know your way around a vehicle when it's traveling quickly. I know
Well, you know how the
combat
rich
is.
kids like to do drag races. That's a little bit different than an actual, op.
She laughs and she says, reckless behavior was never something that I had to worry about with you. I thought that you. Well, it's good that you don't have a taste for it. The sector is very dangerous. I don't want to have to worry about you when you're not here, where I can look after you myself. I don't have to worry about you, do I?
Well, it's funny that you should say that because it kind of seems like some of the awkward situation I've been put in has been your doing in some ways.
Can you make a notice roll with wisdom?
Yeah.
Okay. She makes a face, and I'm curious to see how much of it you can interpret. Okay, all right, a reasonable amount. All right.
Okay.
A lot. She has a lot of emotions all at once. There's some guilt there. There's some like, how much does she know? And then she packs it all away like pretty quick. and says, "Whatever do you mean?"
Oh, there's no need to be coy. If you saw the vids, then I'm sure you noticed the make and model of the unbelievably gaudy car I was driving. I think you know exactly who reached out to me when I was on planet.
I don't know what you mean. If there's something that I should be concerned about, niece, you should tell me. Not all of us are being given new jobs. Some of us have to stay here among the crux. Some of us would appreciate if you know something that would help them out. There's no need to play these games with me. If there's something you want to talk about it.
You're the one who's been playing games this whole time. Who does that? Who sits here and says something like, "Oh, stay out of trouble. Don't get in over your head." And then you hand me this Black Ops tablet, potentially making me some kind of undercover mole that I never signed up for, aboard a ship that I probably get put out the airlock for, and then you sit back and just wash your hands of the whole thing.
Know me wherever
There,
you are.
you want real? You get real.
You get that feeling that someone has like walked over your grave. You just have a little shiver, like for no reason at all, wherever it is that you are on the ship. You just have that feeling. So yeah, you give it to your aunt here. Make a talk roll with charisma.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. So you're already in the room. She says to you, I never meant to put you in a position that it was dangerous for you or caused you awkwardness. And frankly, the fact that you're getting out of here makes me happy. But I need to know where you're going, because there are places in this sector that are going to become more safe for us. Deals are being made. Things are changing in the Empire, and House Vela is moving with those changes. But there are going to be places like this ship that become less safe for us. Please. And she she looks at your servant like, I don't know if we should be having this conversation around somebody I don't personally know.
Mhm. I'll notice. I assume I would notice that she's kind of uncomfortable with her presence.
Yeah.
So I'll just be like, "Erin, do you mind packing up the kitchen? Maybe? Do I have like a small kitchenette?"
Yeah, you can have like
Okay.
another room for her to fuck off to.
Yeah. Tell her to go fuck off in that room.
Yeah. I mean, servants are especially good at fucking off when they need to. So she was like already on her way. Like, yes, ma'am, I'll go and pack up the silverware. So she disappears. She disappears into
Okay.
another room.
Perfect.
And your aunt says, Kieran, this situation, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Our house is making moves, changes that will distance us from the Empire. It will
And you
make
chose
job
to told
posting.
me about this now, after implicating me. You know what? You said you wanted me to open up with you. Fine. I'll cut the shit. No more up and hoity-toity. You gave me that tablet knowing damn well what was going to happen. Do you know they put a bug on me? My crew could have thought I was some kind of betrayer, some kind of mole.
The trust of House Crux is not something that you should be pursuing. It's too late for that now. This place, it's not safe for us, and it won't matter whether you actively choose to become a part of this conspiracy or not. There will be a time very soon where the Empire sees all of us as traitors. They're blind in their fervent ideas about how this sector should be run. The house at its highest levels are making deals with the corporates. They see a future separate from the throne. I don't care about the house, Kiran. I care about my family, about you, your mother, your husband. I'm sorry if you felt like I pushed you into this, but we're all in this now. It's just a matter of making the moves we can before the rest of them find out. You can see that she's scared, and that like she means what she said. Like she didn't mean to involve you, but also she has this feeling of like, well, like it's too late. Like it doesn't matter whether you did anything or didn't do anything. Pretty soon things are going to get to a point where like they just see you, they check your last name on a record, and that's that for you.
Mhm.
So yeah. So you see maybe for the first time that she's actually scared, like for herself particularly, and then for you, and then by some distant extension, the rest of the house.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with the house anymore. Honestly, I spent so much time trying to get away from there, trying to get away from my parents and do my own thing. This is the first time I wish I was back. I wish I could have a say.
And she takes your hand, and she says, then go back. I don't know where this new assignment is supposed to take you, but go back to Hakani. It's safe there.
I want to, but you need to understand that all I have is my word. And I would rather die with my word than live lying, cheating, and backstabbing others. It's just not my way. And whether you meant to or not, you implicated me in your deceit. I am loyal to my house and I am loyal to my family. And if I disagree with the way the Crux or someone else does anything, I will have my voice heard and I will suffer those repercussions, because that is what leadership is about. That is what being a noble is about. But I won't engage in whatever it is you brought me into. I have to admit, I was very angry with you. But I see now maybe you were just misguided. Still don't appreciate it, though. Don't expect a good Christmas gift this year.
She yeah, she laughs at that. You break some of the tension, and she says, I'm sorry, Kiran. It's just I'm more embedded in this than you are.
What
I
have you
to make a
done?
decision. It's not what I've done.
What are
it's
you
just
going
that
to do?
the House of Vela will see me as a member of the House of Crux, and Crux will see me as a Valen. I'm running out of room. I've been talking to the Acre representative. She has allies. I'm thinking of. I have been considering giving up my noble title and joining the corporation. They say they can protect me. This way I don't have to rely on our house to do so, and certainly I can get out from under the boot of these Crux. We make our deals where we can. But as you said, there is still time. And now you have friends in Trilliant, in the church. You have allies here on the ship. You have more options than I do. And I'm sorry if I've limited those in any way, but I was just trying to do what I thought was right for you.
Well, you have to choose a side.
And
Whether
I think
that's
when
Crux
I think that's when Gabriel arrives. So when you're like, you have to choose a side.
Confound your
there's-
timing!
there's that noise, and they both like she starts a little bit, and and so Gabriel, you're outside the Amira's chamber.
And how much did I hear?
Make a notice roll with wisdom.
With wisdom.
Make it with wisdom, yeah. Okay. A 9 is like not everything. but enough.
Well,
Probably
because
just the
it's time as well.
probably just the last bit, just barely caught the last bit of what what her aunt, what the navigator said about like I've been talking to Acre and
Good.
you know, yeah, just that little bit.
Okay, and do I mean, Gabriel would probably hear that at the door, wait a beat, and then or knock or something like that. I wouldn't just barge into the Amira's room. He's polite.
Yeah. I don't think technically you have the clearance to
Who would do
anyway.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, who would just do that?
The sore spot, Max.
So you press the little button, and that's what startles the two of them in the
Bing
room.
bong.
Yeah, your aunt looks at you like, "Were you expecting guests? Do I need to get my knife? Like, what the fuck is going on?"
Yeah. I just like kind of put my hand out to her, and I just say, "I'll go look," and I will answer. And
Okay.
Gabriel,
Ah,
I
Amira,
wasn't
I'm
quite
sorry.
expecting you.
No, I thought I would just pop along. I was walking around. I thought I would see. Are you busy at the moment?
I was
And how much do I see behind
entertaining
Amira?
my aunt.
You can see that the room
apologies.
is being like packed up.
Mhm.
And you can see that the Amira's aunt, the ship's navigator, is in the room, and she looks. Make a notice and wisdom roll to see if you can read the sitch.
Oh. Oh. An 11.
Nice. Oh yeah, you've interrupted some conspiratorial type shit, and it's all given away by the aunt, right? She looks like busted for something.
I
She's
look
got
at
no
her.
poker face.
There is
No.
a hard look at the aunt, and then back to Amira, just like, my apologies. I seem to have interrupted you packing your things away. Are you leaving? Moving?
Yes, I'm being reassigned. Come in.
Oh.
I actually think some of your input might be of value.
Of course, if you think that I can help you, of course. Always happy to assist. I'll step inside.
I'll close the door behind him and like motion for a place for him to sit. And
I'll nod my
sitting
head
down
politely to the navigator.
across from him, I'll say, well, I know things have changed, but do you still consider yourself a spiritual guide?
Technically, my role as the ship's chaplain is no longer. With the death of Valencio, that is no longer my role. But I still consider myself a man of the faith and of good intent and good heart. And if you are looking for advice, Amira, I'm more than happy to give it to you.
Can we rely on your status in the church for your discretion, your confidentiality, if we were to look upon you for advice?
You have done me a great service, Amira. I would not betray your trust. I would, if there's something I can do to help you, let me help. You have helped me, you have helped the team, and I consider you a close ally and a friend, so please.
I know I don't have much reason to trust you, but of our crew, you've always been the most rational. It seems that you've always had the ability to trust what you know is right inside you, even if sometimes that does not align with what the people that you owe allegiance to, if it doesn't align with what they ask of you. You've never been afraid to follow your own morals, as it were. And, well, I'm concerned for my aunt. She's very dear to me.
I love
And
that you're talking about her like she's not here. That's so good.
Yeah,
Like she's standing
yeah.
behind you just with her arms
she's probably
folded like
sweating bullets. Yeah.
yeah, like, well, I've lost complete control over my own destiny. Fuck.
Mhm.
Well, I think Gabriel would have positioned himself when the mirror offered a seat. He would have adjusted the seat so that the aunt is still in his eye line, like classic
Mhm.
soldier thing of he keeps the exit,
Yeah.
the mirror, and the aunt in like eye line. So he's like,
What if you possessed information that could be useful, but just merely by possessing that information, you incriminated yourself? So much so that you couldn't turn it over even if you wanted to, because doing so would be an admission of guilt.
In times like these, Emira, it is difficult. This is why the virtues are there to guide us. The noble path, the path that all nobility, such as yourself and your aunt, should achieve, is not an easy one. You are the shepherds to the flock. The people, the civilians, they are the sheep. Their role is simple, and their duty to God is simple. They simply must do what we expect of them. Do it. They must work hard, and they will achieve and rise to heaven. But for nobility, it is harder. We need to do what we believe is
so
right
hard.
and what is best. And it is sometimes we must make a sacrifice. That is very much the nature of faith itself, that we are bigger than the individual. And if we are honest, and if we are true to our purpose, then it is the faithful, and I am of that kind, to believe that God will protect you, and that ultimately truth is better than the darkness of deceit. Of course, there are clever ways to go about things. You know very well what Crux and the people of this ship can be like. So it is of a mindset to perhaps reveal what you know once you have some safe distance, shall we call it.
Hmm.
That is my belief. In fact, I had come here to ask you if you had any information regarding Trilliant. I know that you had gotten quite close to them on Berkman, and I would like to investigate their connections with the church myself. So perhaps there's a way that we can help each other here. Perhaps if there's something like I can do to help you, there's something you can do to help me.
That would be ideal.
And I think that with regards to your problem, Emira, you know, I believe you to be somebody who does what is right as well. And I believe you to be a virtuous person, somebody who has the best interests for the empire and for the people in mind. You are a good shepherd, Emira. You look after your flock, and I believe that that will be the case. Perhaps learn their names, but I know that you care for them, so. And that is why.
So like it's there's no missing the tack that the Crusader is taking here, right? This like I'm just gonna reaffirm that you're already the kind of person that I want you to continue acting like, right? This like I trust and believe in you. I should, right? You're trustworthy and believable, right?
Yeah. My hope is that
Yeah.
I can do something for her, because I don't think my aunt is a giant piece of shit. But I don't want her
she's just
to.
in a bad state and making some dumb decisions.
Yeah.
So
so what do you do?
case-
You're the two of you are in control of the situation. She doesn't have anything to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking at Emira at this point. Gabriel is focused on her, and it's not hostile. It's a genuine sort of like, I can help you. Keep an ear out for me kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's actually partially the reason why I'm going back home. You have no idea how helpless I feel. It seems like strange things are afoot, especially this Acre presence, and they're being condemned by the Crux. And I feel like it's my time to return to my flock. So that's why the packing. I've requested reassignment, and my goal is to return to Hakani so that I may actually serve in my role as an Amira and have my voice heard in whatever is happening there. I don't want war to break out in any way, shape, or form. As you know, Crusader, when violence occurs, it's usually our flock that suffer. When the wolves come, so to speak, it's not the shepherd that takes the brunt of the damage.
Very true. Very wise.
But I won't lie to you. I did get contacted by Trilliant while we were on Berkman. In fact, I still have the contact information for the gentleman who was assigned to me, given to me. I still don't really know if he's my property or not. Between you and me, he makes me very uncomfortable. He's very sexual, and I don't appreciate it.
I know the type.
Very flirtatious.
Oh, you found something in common. I am from the church. I also hate sex stuff. Only for procreating.
No. Well, perhaps then tell me what you need of me, and if I can make a request to you, Emira. If I contact this person that you're involved with, I feel that they will try and give me the runaround. What I really want to know is who on Berkman from Trilliant who were they communicating with within the High Church specifically? I know that they must have been working with certain individuals. I would very much like to know who. If you can provide me with that information, you would have my gratitude, and I, of course, will be willing to help you in return in some way.
I can definitely attempt to find that information for you.
I know that you can.
I think I have a couple of leads that I can probably look into.
Excellent.
I'll be honest with you, though. I'm not quite sure what my standing with the Trilliant is at this point. Suffice it to say, they made me an offer, and I refused. But I also disclosed the details of that offer to Officer Greaves, and he discovered that they had been listening into our conversation.
We cannot rule out that they are not listening into everything, but that is the nature of the world these days. We are all so paranoid and looking over our shoulders that perhaps we forget to lose sight on the things that we should be focusing on. Well, do what you can. I am sure that somebody of your position and somebody of your influence, they will want to keep on your good side, I am certain. So despite your refusal, I'm sure that they would still be quite eager to hear from you, and perhaps that can be leveraged. And
I have to say I'm a little surprised, considering
Yes.
your arm.
That is a bit of a sore point. It was not my choice, most certainly. But to do the work that I am required, I need it, for now, at least, until I can get something to replace it.
Was it provided to you by the church on Berkman or by Trilliant directly?
Where does one end and one begin?
Right, that's a great question. Yep.
And the simple fact
I
is
guess that's
don't-
what we're trying to find out.
Certainly what I would like to find out. But yes, it will... If the fools want to give me a knife, I won't throw it away until I have a new one. So, but anyway, how can I help you now? Beyond advice and words, is there anything I can do?
So I think this is when your aunt finally like musters the nerve to say something. She says,
Yes, navigator.
She says, there is a way for the Amira and I to leave the ship, but it relies on the Acre representative remaining safe. And I think when she says that, we cut to Nomi. So Nomi, you are in your office or whatever. You've got the file of the Acre representative, Penelope Lau, and and so you've got her like Crux personnel file with all this information on it. You've been given access to it, and it looks like she's been with the ship for like just about 6 years. And her job is to essentially like act as a liaison between the ship's representative and the Acre Corporation, who provides some like basic stuff like fuel and ammunition and stuff for the ship. She has a fairly like dull record, right? Like she was raised on Yakia, I think, and then transferred to an Acre ship for a little while, where she learned the ropes, and then was basically given to Crux as the rep for this. She's a sales rep for Acre that is like embedded on this ship. So yeah, is there anything that you're looking for particular in the paperwork version of her, or that you would be like trying to dig up? What do you think?
Well, so it sounds like it's pretty vanilla. Like it doesn't sound like she has
Yes,
like
on
connected with anything suspicious that I would see.
yeah, her personnel record doesn't have any stuff on it.
Yeah.
She's married. She has a husband and like probably like 3 kids at home. And she was given her family was given some kind of like tax like benefit thing from the Acre Corporation for like having extra kids. But she doesn't go home very often. Like her husband is at home raising the kids. She's out here doing business.
Okay. And what are we suspicious that Acre is like has done or is trying to do by having her be like, because she was here and that was fine until
Yes. So Acre at large is currently under investigation for like anti-imperial activity because of like this other thing that they're doing. But they're a big corporation. So basically, Yancey has just asked you like check in on this person, find out if they are going to be a problem or not. And if they're going to be a
Right.
problem, we'll get rid of them. And if they're not going to be a problem, then just find out a bunch of stuff about them so that if later they decide to become one, we can turn the screws on them.
Okay, cool. No, I mean, if there's nothing, if she's like fairly a nondescript person, and I don't see anything that stands out, in terms of like her business dealings. So you said that she's in charge of supplying the ship with ammunition and
Mhm.
like specifically weapon stuff or like other stuff as well.
Basic amenities for the ship.
Okay.
So
Like
Acre
blankets,
provides
like, random-
yeah, and like rivets and stuff, like basic industrial supplies, and like MREs and like food and stuff for the ship. So yeah.
Okay, sure. Then I mean, I'll go like just talk to her.
Okay.
And just see kind of, I don't know what I can find out, I guess.
Yeah, so maybe then this scene is you like reviewing her record on your data pad as you like walk up to her office. So her office on the ship, the door of it has the Acre, the like topaz kind of like shape, the trapezoid, and then her name under it and underneath. You have the authority to just walk in if you want. But that's up to you. How do you start this conversation? You know, the ship's systems have told you that she's in there. So
Right. I would knock on the door first or like ring the bell, I guess.
okay. Yep. So you press the button, and there's a moment that passes, like a beat, and then you hear come in, and the door slides open.
Okay. Yeah, I walk in and
Alright.
what is she doing? Just, like,
So
standing
her
there?
office is like a janitor's closet. Like it is tiny. She has this tiny little desk. She has a metal chair. The chair is like riveted to the floor in case of like 0G. Like it's like her office is on a submarine. It's like almost square, like a square shape. The office is slightly taller than it is wide. And so she's got her desk. She has this little like very industrial looking like kind of plastic casing computer. It doesn't even have like a hologram projector. It has like a flat, like a screen. And then she's
Ew,
got like a
screen.
cabinet. I know, right? She's got a cabinet underneath, and I think that in terms of decoration, she has a landscape. It's not a painting, but it's essentially just like an e-paper display behind her of some planetary surface somewhere, and you see some like weird quadrupedal animals that you've never seen before. They're like a mottled like black and white color. Some of them have horns coming out of their heads, and they're standing in a field of like green vegetation in this painting that she's got. And
Okay. Do I know anything
she
about
gets
that?
up. You could make a roll to try to recognize it. Sure. Let me see. What skill? What's art recognition as a skill? Let's see.
No.
Yeah, probably no. No with intelligence.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, the animals that you like look at them for a second, you're like, I feel like maybe I know them. Yeah, they're a domestic like food animal called a cow. You've never seen one in real life, but they're not like pets or anything. There's nothing majestic about them. This is a very pastoral scene, and it's a farm of some kind. But it doesn't look like any farm you've ever seen, because those are all automated and have like robots and serfs working at them. This is like a big empty field with some cows standing in it. You don't know why anyone would have this as a piece of art, but
Okay.
yeah.
So cool. I just like walk in and I kind of throw a glance around the room, and I look at her and I say, "Greetings. I am the serious Nomi Ka. I'm here to speak with you about the Acre Corporation and how it works together with our ship. I would like to learn more about your job here."
As a response, she swallows nervously. So Evangeline is or Penelope Evangeline is a like mid-30s. She was assigned to the ship in her like late 20s. So she's a mid-30s woman of probably like mixed like Chinese and some kind of white person descent. She has short hair that is like fairly severely like slicked back, and she's wearing like all beige essentially. She's got a acre uniform, this beige high collared button shirt. And she has a little like name placard thing on her her chest with some indication of maybe rank or station. You're not familiar with acre iconography. And she looks not nervous, but like put out or confused or something. She's got some kind of emotional turbulence going on.
Mhm.
And she says, "Oh, yes. Well, I know who you are. I've made myself familiar with the files of all the important people on the ship. I'm surprised we hadn't had a run-in before, especially with well, all the unpleasantness with Riley. I am sorry about that. Anyway, you're here to. What was it again?
I would like for you to describe to me what you do here on the ship and how that interacts with the Crux systems.
Uh, do you want the complicated version or the simple version?
I find that more detail is always better.
Well, any detail that you'd like is available in the files. Everything that I do is publicly accessible to anyone with the right clearance on the ship. But basically, it's my job to liaise between the Acre Corporation's supply chain and the representative for the ship. The representative receives requirement orders from the captain and from the crew, files them through me, and I broker the deal between the noble houses responsible for the ship and the Acre Corporation. The various and sundry mechanics of the ship, parts for the engine, fuel, ammunition, the bits and pieces that make the Prudence go, they all come from factories that Acre owns. So while Fornax built the ship, I like to think that Acre makes it go.
I understand. And you're aware of the Acre Corporation's suspected anti-imperial dealings.
I've been advised by the legal team not to discuss that. If you'd like to make an official inquiry through legal, I'm sure they can give you any information about what it is that my opinion on these matters is.
There's no need to be afraid. We're just having a friendly conversation. If I wanted to speak with legal, I could do so myself. However, I decided to come down here personally because I read over the files, and I wanted to hear from you how you're feeling about being aboard a Crux ship amidst the turmoil outside.
I've found it best not to entertain my own feelings on this matter. You can make a roll, though, if you'd like to push her on it. To be like, listen, you should talk to
Mhm.
me. It's the smart thing to do. Yeah, make a roll, make a talk and charisma roll, and let me know. So do you want what do you want her? Do you want her to feel intimidated by you? Why do you want her to talk to you, or do you want her to believe that like she's actually having a friendly conversation with you?
I
Because
want to
it's such a
know.
charged phrase from what's essentially a psychic space cop, right? Like we're just having a friendly conversation can either mean like calm down and let's talk, or like I could destroy you and everything you love. It's a phrase with
Yeah.
many exciting opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I like by saying you don't need to be afraid. I think what is actually happening is you should be afraid.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I want her to crack and tell me
Mhm.
what she's been doing, if she's been doing anything. I guess 10.
Okay. All right. Yeah. 10 is a lot. Um. So she looks at you, and you've seen this look before, right? This is a look that starts with in her head. She's thinking, should I talk to this person? Should I not talk to this person? Oh God, wait. She's a serpent. Is she reading my mind right now? Oh God, think about something else. Don't think treasonous thoughts. Fuck. And you can see her like go through, and you patiently just wait out her having this process. And then she sits down, and she looks at her computer. She looks at you, and she says, "What's going to happen to me?"
That depends on who you're really working for. Are you working for Crux, or are you working for Acre?
I'm just a liaison to the House of Crux. I work for the Acre Corporation. Everything that I am belongs to them. I was assigned here. I didn't ask to be put on this ship. I mean, not to say that I haven't enjoyed my work here or found it valuable. It's just that I I could have stayed on the Acre ship that I was on before and served the corporation that way. But they thought that it would be best if I expanded my horizons for diplomatic purposes. But they didn't tell me that it was going to go like this. That was 6 years ago.
I put my hand up for her to stop talking. She's been saying a
Yeah,
lot.
she does.
Um, I am not here to hand out judgment. I am simply here to understand and ascertain the level of involvement you have had in potentially disrupting Crux activities. I need you to I need you to tell me the details of what you have been instructed to do by the Acre Corporation. I understand that your feelings are you have not done this through your own desire to disrupt Crux, but through the demands of the Acre Corporation. Your cooperation at this stage is crucial. I hope you understand.
She nods slowly, and she says, when House Crux made the announcement about the board, we were sent a communique. All of the officers that were put on Imperial ships to stand by, await further orders, and to defer any questioning to legal. They said that there would be more, and that was the last I'd heard from them. I've been filing my paperwork every day like I'm supposed to, but I haven't gotten confirmation back. You make a notice and wisdom roll.
Eight.
There's something about that communication she's not telling you. You catch
Mhm.
like a waver in her voice or something.
Yeah. Okay. So this communication was sent to you via the official Crux channels? How did you receive it?
There's a partition in the system for Crux only communication. There was a version of the file sent there, but um, I got another data packet sent directly to my personal comms. It's encrypted though. I can't even open it. I don't know what it is. They just sent it as part of the message. It's an attachment. I thought it might be a mistake, but Acre Comms doesn't make mistakes. Not like that.
Show me this communication.
So she kind of like looks at you and looks at and she normally this would be the part where she'd be like, yeah, come around behind me and look at my screen while I do this thing, but there's no room. So she pulls up her keyboard, types in some stuff. We see on the screen over her shoulder the like Acre login flicker to life. She types in her password. We see little stars appear, and then it brings up a file system, and she somewhat reluctantly opens what looks to be like a personal sub communication like thing, and you can see she's got messages that don't look like they are on the Crux like comms database. Like she has her own personal file server, which you know would be not allowed on the ship. And she brings up a message that the text of the message says exactly what she said, right? Like, just wait. Like, we acknowledge that this has happened. Defer all communication requests to legal, etc. And then there's an attachment, and it just says like attached, and then some gibberish like numbers and letters. She says, I tried to open it, but it's encrypted, and I don't.
And how are you meant to decrypt this? Have you made any steps to pursue that?
No, I didn't want to tell anybody about it because, well, I mean, there's an official version. There's an official version of it, and I just thought maybe I would ignore it. It would go away. I don't know. I mean, it's probably nothing.
Indeed. It's probably nothing. As it stands, I'm afraid that you have committed a series of untoward actions aboard a Crux ship, and as an officer of this Crux ship, you are under arrest. You will come with me immediately.
She looks briefly, like subconsciously, her eyes flick to her desk. There's a drawer, like kind of near her right hand, that her eyes just like flick to real quick. And then she looks back at you like with surprise. She maybe doesn't even realize she just did it.
Yeah.
I don't. What do you mean? I thought that this was just a friendly conversation. I haven't done anything.
I take a step forward and I say, is it possible for me to read her mind to know what she was thinking about when she did that?
Yeah, I mean, she's probably still thinking about it if it's in there. Yeah.
Right. Okay, can I do that? Do I need to?
Yeah,
like,
let me
commit-
make a. No, she just you commit the effort and then she makes
Yeah.
a mental effect save.
Okay.
Let's see how she does. Not great. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, her emotional state is like panic. Like the prevalent feeling is like, oh God, what do I do now? That feeling of like having to make a hard decision quickly, which she is trying to do. And you see in her mind, she is remembering putting a gun in that drawer.
Nice.
And so she's definitely like thinking, you put the two together and she's definitely thinking about like the chain of actions that will begin with her taking that gun out and shooting you with it.
Right. Okay. I know it's a future crime, so now I'm trying, like, do I attack first? Or do I just try to, like, talk her down from it, I guess? Okay.
Yep. You
Well,
could
I'll
also
try-
now you remember you also have, I don't know if you have you should have the
Talk
the
gun.
effort available. You could also make her forget there's a gun in the drawer at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I could
What
just
other cool psychic
make her
things?
forget about
Mhm.
violence. Or I could just attack her with my psychic assault.
That's true. Or you could just melt her
the
brain.
brain.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of take a step forward and I say, there is no need for violence. You are simply going to be detained until we can examine your computer system and determine what needs to be done about this mysterious attachment on your file. No harm will come to you.
Let's have you roll talk and charisma to see if you can convince her. Like, just forget about it. Don't worry about that gun.
Forget
Just get
about
your
it.
shit together.
I rolled a 1. Do I re-roll that?
Yeah. You got no, you got a 4 and a 2.
Oh, 1
So-
and oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a bonus of 1.
Yeah.
But a 9 is a success. Yeah. Okay, she's not looking like she's not going to cooperate necessarily, but she like puts her hands up. She makes the conscious decision. It's probably best not to shoot the Cirrus in the chest right now. I was a stupid person forever thinking that was a good way out of any of this. I'm in a ship full of cops, and she puts her hands up and she says, "I just don't want any more trouble."
Neither do I. If you please. And I kind of motion to the door.
Mhm.
Because I'm going to walk behind her.
Okay.
And I'm just going to take her to, like, the brig, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Yeah. So you she stands up and you let her go by. You let her leave her little closet. And you send her out into the hall. So she's in the hall. You're still kind of in the room. And we see you from the perspective of like a non, like if the camera were in her chair, so we can see the screen is still in the shot. There is a countdown running on the screen. It's like a progress bar is filling on the screen. And can you know what? We'll wait. Let's take our break here, and when we come back, we'll roll to see if you notice what she did before she left her desk. Yeah, let's
Okay.
do that. All right, stick around. Stick around. We'll be back. We'll be back with more roleplay for Verona right after this.